Hello world, I'm Twist and welcome back to Raw Recap and Review. This is part 1 of March 9th, 2026 episode from Seattle, Washington. If you enjoy WWE content like this, subscribe to the channel and like the video for more. And also, I've been streaming WWE 2K26 on my Twitch. You can check out the Twitch in the description of the video. And we'll be getting My Rise videos coming soon to the channel as well. Like most Raws, we start with talking, but this time we have Adam Pearce in the middle of the ring, and he's talking about how he wants Seth Rollins to come out and talk to him because they need to have a conversation about him not being cleared and everything. So a whole bunch of masked men pop out. They get into the ring. They have a ring around the Rosie, and then Seth is in the middle, takes the mask off, and he says, like he said, I hate division too, but like what you've been doing has been unacceptable, man, because you're not medically cleared. He says like, you've been getting away with the hidden runs and everything, but what you gonna do when they actually catch you? And that leads to the Ayo! Yeah, Logan Paul, weak music, man. Him and Austin Theory pop out. No Paul Heyman, by the way, and Logan says, Today is the end of Seth Rollins." And they want all the smoke. They get into the ring. That leads to all the masked men to get into the ring. They ring around the Rosie again and run off. And that leads them to Seth getting out of there. Now the Vision are in the mat. They're in the ring mad. At least the L.A. Knight. He popped out, take his shirt off, instantly walk down to the ring, start fighting the Vision. He's winning the beginning, but then the Vision get the upper hand. That leads to the Usos. The Usos pop out. They help LA Knight. They get the upper hand. They finna go for the 1D, but Austin Theory pulls Logan Paul's leg away. And they scamper back to the backstage. And then Jay in the ring, he goes. And then he runs it back with his brother Jimmy in LA. We get a commercial break after that, but then they get backstage with Jackie Ratman trying to give them an interview. The Usos say, they got receipts for the Vision, and then Jackie also asked them, do they have anything to say about CM Punk? Because CM Punk last week mentioned their dead uncle, which is Roman's father. And at first Jay was like, man, I don't want to talk about Punk, but Jimmy more calm. He's like, we do have some words for Punk. Then we get to our first match of the night, which is actually kind of like 4 or 5 matches in the night, because it is the Gauntlet match, #1 contendership match between Lyra Valkyria, Io Sky, Asuka, Raquel Rodriguez, Bayley, and Ivy Nile. The first two to start the match is Lyra Valkyria and Io Sky. They first start the matchup with a tie-up, and they have a whole bunch of chain wrestling combos, flips, and back and forth. They have a stalemate with Io Sky doing the flip, and then Lyra doing the little pose right with it too. Lyra gets back the headlock again. She Irish whips Io into a heel kick by Lyra. She goes for the pin. Io kicks out of it. That leads to Io getting the comeback. She chop blocks Lyra's legs to the ground, then hits her with a drop kick to the floor. That leads Lyra then throwing Io outside the ring, tries to go for the basement dropkick through the ropes. Io gets out the way. She reverses that into her own suicide dive onto Lyra. Gets Lyra back in the ring. She tries to go up to the top rope to do a move. Lyra gets back up, slams Io down onto the ropes, and now she hits her basement dropkick move. And then we get to the commercial break. We get back from the commercial break with a booyah. We get a punch exchange between Io and Lyra. Io wins the punch exchange and then finishes off with a butterfly backbreaker into a bullet train on the corner. She goes for the over the moonsault, but Lyra stops it by getting her with strikes on the top rope. Io fights back of her, knocks Lyra down while she's on the corner. Then while she's on the top rope, tries to do a sunset flip on Lyra, but Lyra stops it and then hits her with an enziguri, and then uses the ropes for a tornado DDT, and then hits her with a fisherman suplex, and then goes for the pin, but Io kicks out of it. She's staying strong. Now Lyra is trying to get the match over. She does a spinning pickup with Io, tries to go for the Nightwing, but Io reverses it into a big stump to the stomach, and then hits her with a buzzsaw kick. Shout out to Jerry. After the kick, she goes to the top rope for the over the moonsault. 1, 2, 3. Big dub for Io. She advances to the next round, and the next competitor is Raquel Rodriguez. Io don't even give Raquel a chance to even get inside the ring. She instantly hits her with a drop kick while she tries to get inside the ring, and then goes for a suicide dive, but gets caught by Raquel. Now Raquel tries to throw her to the corner, but Io fights back. But Raquel still has the advantage. She hits her with an elbow and a clothesline on the ground, puts her in the ring. Then she goes near the corner, does the corkscrew corner elbow, tries to go for the pin, but Io's right next to the rope, so she grabs the rope. At least Raquel trying to get the match over already. You know, she already did a whole match against Lyra, so now she picks up Io for the Tejana bomb. But Io reverses out of the Tejana bomb and hits Raquel on the rope while Raquel is stunned. She goes to the apron to the outside, tries to go for a springboard, but she misses the springboard, tries to get her momentum back by trying to attack Raquel, but Raquel basically like throws her off of her, and that gets to a commercial break. We get back from the commercial break with Raquel near Io in the corner on the top rope. Io fights back, hits her with an uppercut, the little Shote uppy. Then she gets on top of the rope with Raquel and hits her with the top rope Hurricanrana, drops her down, and then climbs the top rope again, and then hits Raquel with a missile drop kick. That leads her to do a little flip over, then After that, she hits Raquel with the bullet train. Then she tries to go for the over the moonsault this time, but Liv Morgan pops out, distracts Raquel while she's on the rope. That leaves Raquel to dragging Io down, but Stephanie Vaquer pops out, beats up Liv. They have a back and forth fighting. Now Raquel's watching the fight happening inside the ring, and that leads Io to climb the top rope again. She jumps on Raquel and turns it to a cradle pin. 1, 2, 3. Io gets the dub. Io advances again, but Raquel doesn't really like that. She big boots Io outside the ring, picks her up, throws her into the ring post, and then hits the Tejana bomb on the apron. The match still continues because Ivy Nile comes out next. She comes out next, and she basically has a win given to her. She rolls Io Sky back into the ring, gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. Ivy Nile advances. Next up, we have Bayley, and Bayley walks to the ring. She's ready, but she sees Io just like dead on the mat, you know, and she has a little history with Io, so she feels bad, but Ivy Nile from behind runs her way around and attacks Bayley in the back, then grabs her and throws her into the steel steps, and that's how we get a commercial break. We get back from the commercial break with Bayley having an advantage. She tries to do an Irish whip on Ivy Nile, but Ivy Nile does a flip around like a tilt-a-whirl and slams Bayley to the ground. It goes for a pin. Bayley kicks out of it. Now Ivy lands in a headlock, good chin lock on Bayley, but Bayley gets out of it, hits her with an elbow, and then hits her with a neck breaker. Now Bayley has the momentum. She's having a comeback. Double clotheslines to Ivy Nile into a back suplex, which leads her to putting Ivy Nile in the ropes. Hits her with a rope stunner. Hits the other corner. Big running knee to Ivy Nile. Then she climbs with the middle rope. Hits her with the elbow drop to Ivy Nile's back. Goes for the pin. 1, 2. Kick out from Ivy. She's still in the mat. Now Bayley tries to go for one of her old finishing moves, the Bayley to Bayley, which is a belly to belly slam. It gets reversed though by Ivy Nile, but Bayley finds a way to roll up Ivy after that, but she kicks out of it. Ivy kicks Bayley and then hits her with a German suplex, goes for the pin, but gets a kick out from Bayley. At least Bayley's getting Ivy into the corner. She hits her with a big elbow and then runs back to the corner, jumps on the rope, and then big German suplex down, but that gets a kick out from Ivy. Now she tries to go for the rose plant. That gets reversed into a kick by Bayley, but then Ivy fights back and then picks up Bayley for the stall suplex. Like, she probably held that suplex for like 20 to 30 seconds. Big slam down afterwards. And Ivy gets Bayley into the corner, hits her with a kick, picks her up, and goes for a superplex down to the ground, and then picks her up and for a swinging Uranagi. And I ain't gonna lie, Bayley head hit that mat crazy. That leads to Bayley rolling outside the ring. She plays possum at first when Ivy tries to pick her up, but she reverses Ivy and throws her into the steel steps. Then she tries to elbow Ivy. Then that leads to Bayley punching Ivy and then putting her on the apron. She jumps up, goes for the elbow drop on the apron, gets into the ring, goes for the Bayley to Bayley. 1, 2, 3. Bayley advances. Then we get the last woman in the matchup, Asuka with Kairi saying. And just like with Io, Bayley does not let Asuka get a chance to get into the ring. Instantly suicide dive elbow to Asuka. Asuka stunned. Kairi gets into the middle of them, and while that with that distraction, Asuka hits Bayley with a roundhouse kick. That's how we get to a commercial break. When we get back from the commercial break, with Bayley landing her signature corner sunset flip onto the turnbuckle, which goes for the pin, but it gets kicked out of. Then she tries to land Asuka with the rose plant. Asuka reverses that by turning it into an ankle lock. Then ends up finding a way to get Bayley's shoulders down for a pin. And then she tries to, then she hits Bayley with multiple kicks. And on the last kick she gives her, Bayley catches it and turns it into a knee bar. Asuka finds a way to roll to the rope, grabs the rope. Now Asuka's on the outside of the ring. Bayley and Asuka on the outside of the ring. Bayley goes to the other side and does a drop kick through the bottom of the corner turnbuckle, and then throws Asuka into the ring. But Asuka fights back with Bayley. Fights back Bayley when Bayley tries to hit the ropes. She catches her, picks her up, big knee to the face. But after that knee, Bayley gets a running knee of her own. She goes for the pin off the running knee, kicks out of it, and that leads to them having a punch exchange, which Asuka wins with her multiple punch and kick combo. She goes for the pin after that, but it gets kicked out. And Asuka keeps the offense going, hits Bayley with a ground roundhouse kick into another low kick, but that gets reversed into a pin by Bayley. That gets reversed by Bayley into a Bayley to Bayley slam. That gets a kick out from Asuka though. Bayley is now on the apron and gets hit outside the ring by Asuka. That leads to Kairi picking up Bayley, and she's like about to punch her, but Lyra out of nowhere runs all the way down. Big shotgun drop kick to Kairi. She hits the apron. That leads to Asuka looking down through the ropes like what's going on. That leads to Bayley get on the apron. Big stunner to Asuka, and that leads her to get to the top rope. She tries to jump on Asuka, but Asuka catches her actually and turns it to the Asuka lock. Bayley finds a way to get out of that and then turn it into a rose plant. 1, 2, 3. Bayley is your #1 contender and will be fighting AJ Lee next week. I give this match 5-star match. All these women showed out and performed. But yeah, I wish we could have seen Bayley versus Io Sky. That would have been cool. But shout out to Bayley. She got the dub. And then we move on to the next segment. We have the OG El Grande Americano. He's walking down to the ring because he has a match for the Intercontinental title against Penta, but he runs into Danhausen. And Danhausen is trying to get the mask off of him, but you know, OG's like, man, chill out, bro. I'm trying to get focused. He said, oh, you don't want to rock with me? Okay, well, you're cursed. He curses him, and we see Los Americanos in the background creeping. We get back to the ring. Penta does his entrance. He does a promo before his match. He shouts out his family, his friends, the WWE Universe, and himself for getting the IC title. He says he's here to represent the dreamers, the fighters of the real world, and he's ready for his match. But the other El Grande Americano pops out instead of the OG because he got cursed. You don't see the match start. It goes to a commercial break after he pops out. So we get back to the match already continued with El Grande having a headlock on Penta. But Penta gets out of it and gets his own headlock on. That leads to a fighting exchange that leads to Penta kicking him in the stomach. That leads to El Grande fighting back with a Hurricanrana. Penta gets his own Rana in, hits him with a super kick, hits him in the corner, hits him with a big chop to the chest. Then he tries to whip El Grande, but El Grande reverses it into his own chop on Penta, and then hits him with a bunch of punches on the ground, and then grabs Penta, throws him shoulder first into the corner, then hits him with more punches and kicks, and then goes for a pin, but he kicks out. Then he goes for a pin, but Penta grabs the rope. That leads to him punching Penta again, and then grabbing his mouth and spreading it. Then he picks up Penta, hits him in the corner, tries to go for the 10 punches. He gets about like 4 in. Penta reverses it, gets out of it, does his own 10 punches. But that's stopped midway through by El Grande gouging Penta's eyes. That leads to El Grande running from the corner, hitting him with an uppercut. And then he runs to the other side, but Penta follows him over there and kicks him in the face. And that leads to Penta running to the other side again. El Grande runs after him, but Penta knows that. He jumps over him into a backstabber. That leads to El Grande going to the apron. He's on the outside. That leads to Penta running to the other side, jumps off the rope, springboard, clothesline into El Grande, and then El Grande's now on the outside of the ring. Penta tries to run down to do a suicide dive, but it gets reversed by El Grande. He hits him with an elbow, and then he starts aura farming next to the belt. And that leads on to the commercial break. We get back to the match. Penta now has the advantage. Now he hits multiple leg attacks on El Grande, and then hits him with a sling blade. Then gets him to the corner. Does his stalling basement drop kick. Boom, drops down. That leads to El Grande getting out the ring. Now Penta hits him with a tope con hilo, which is basically a swanton bomb over the top rope. He gets El Grande back in the ring. He climbs the top rope, hits him with a top rope cross body, goes for the pin. He kicks out of it though. That leads for Penta trying to land the sacrifice. He tries to grab his arm. That leads to El Grande rolling him up. Penta kicks out of it, and then he hits him with a spine buster. He hits a spine buster, and Penta goes for a pin. Penta kicks out of that one. El Grande then grabs Penta, slaps him in the chest, tries to jump up the rope to do a old school type move. Penta reverses out of it, tries to land him with a Penta driver by a super kick by El Grande. Penta fights back though, tries to land a Mexican destroyer on El Grande, but El Grande reverses it and hits him with a Death Valley driver. Goes for a pin. And he kicks out of it. It's El Grande on the middle rope. He tries to do a jumping attack on the Penta, but Penta catches him with a code breaker, hits him with a springboard Mexican destroyer. 1, 2, 3. That's game. Penta retains the IC title, and he is still our champion. Now that's the end of part 1. If you heard in the beginning of the video, this is part 1 of Raw Recap and Reviews. I like to do the Raw Recap and Reviews in 2 parts. So make sure to watch part 2 right here, and at the end of the video, it should be a pop-up right there. So if you don't want to get cursed, watch part 2.